6:11 this morning on Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. I'm Dave Radigan in the Choice 102 studio. Joining me this morning is my wife, Irene.
Good morning.
And morning show host here at Choice 102, Matt Lewis. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Dave.
Thank you both for joining me today. Not normal for Irene and I to be here on the Choice Morning Show. We usually don't come on until later in the day. Something bad has happened, and that's why we're here. The voice of the Valley, WAVR's own Chuck Carver, passed away last night near his home in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, about 4 hours south of here. As best as we can ascertain, only about 12 hours ago, Mrs. Carver, Chuck's wife Michelle, called their friend Mike Shaw last night. Mike, of course, also was on the radio here with Chuck for several years. They did the morning show together after Chuck and Todd reunited. At any rate, Michelle called Mike Shaw last night in a panic, and Mike couldn't understand most of what Michelle was saying. Understandably so, because she's so upset that all Mike had gotten out of the initial phone call was that something had happened to Chuck and that he had passed away. He owned this radio station for 44 years. He graduated from Ohio State University, a proud Buckeye, and he got his first job in radio in Sayre, PA. And he never worked at any other radio station his entire career other than right here for 44 years, which in our business, in any business, is an eternity. And in a lot of ways, not possible. And he became the voice of the Valley. And this was his platform for 44 years. He went in on the station and purchased it with friends. And over the years, one by one, they retired and got bought out by one partner or the other until it was just Todd and Chuck. Maybe 5 years ago, I think, in 2016. In the last 5 years, it was just Chuck on his own. Until he came along, or until we came along, I guess, or whatever. He had sent me an email and said that he was looking to retire. And over the last year, Irene and I went from competitor to friend. And Chuck became a very good friend of ours, and we became very close to him. So Michelle called Mike last night. Mike called Sherry, who is the station manager here at the radio station. And she's worked here for almost 20 years. Chuck hired her practically out of college for her. And when we came along, Sherry stayed with us and it still works with us today as our station manager. And Sherry called me last night. And we've been on the phone with different people ever since. We don't have a script for what we're saying. We're just sort of taking it one step at a time. But the first thing is to share with the community that Chuck Carver has passed away. This still feels very much like his station. We've been here for a blink compared to his career. And so we think that this is probably Chuck's place for this sort of news today. So we're going to open our door. It's unlocked. We're in the Sayer studio here at 193 Keystone Avenue, Choice 102 studio, which we don't want to broadcast from anywhere else for this station. This is where it belongs. This is where Chuck put it. And unfortunately, I've been through some situations like this before, none quite like this, but similar. And in situations like this, we open the door, we open the phones, and if there's anybody who wants to share anything about Chuck, and I don't think there's anybody in the Valley that doesn't have at least one story about Chuck, and some people have 1,000 stories with Chuck, we encourage you to share those this morning. It's going to be a different kind of day, a weird kind of day. We are all completely in shock. Like I said, this only happened, we think, about 12 hours ago. We got the phone call a little bit after 7 o'clock last night. It had happened within the hour. We reached out to Michelle, who reached back to us, letting us know that she was still at the hospital. Of course, Chuck and Michelle have 2 sons, Kevin and Jeff. Kevin and Jeff are both married to Becca and Gail, and they each have 1 son apiece, Chase and Jordan. And Chase and Jordan are probably the whole reason why Chuck decided to retire at the beginning of the pandemic last year. He moved to Lidditz the beginning of April while the pandemic was gearing up, and left Sherry to run the radio station here in the Valley. And he continued to do news and work remotely from his home office, his new home office in Lidditz. And we started running the radio station November 1st, and we closed on the sale in January. So he started to retire only 12 months ago, maybe a little more than 12 months ago, 12, 13, 14 months ago, but really only retired in January. So, I mean, he barely got to enjoy any of the retirement that he worked so hard for so many years, which is also crushing. So that's the deal. I hate to be a downer today. And Chuck would probably say, that's enough, move on, play a song, but that's not how it works around here. That isn't what we do. It's early yet. A lot of people haven't woken up yet, and a lot of people are still rubbing the sleep out of their eyes, trying to understand what's going on. But that's the news this morning. This radio station, Choice 102, has lost its voice of the Valley, Chuck Carver, who passed away last night near his home in Lidditz.
As you look back upon someone and you look at their life and you look back on what they leave, I think legacy is the word. And this is both through what they do, the acts that they do in the community. And with Chuck, he was active in all aspects of the community, from his church all the way through the community events that they participated in. Scholarship Challenge was a huge part of what he enjoyed and loved. Was very into news over the years. I first met Chuck all the way back in the 1980s as worked for a Binghamton radio station group and used to go and pick up and drop off commercials on tape all the way back then. Station was at one of the other locations at that time next to the sewage treatment plant on the other side of the town. It's interesting how much the station over the years evolved. It's also interesting as it's gone through. Chuck has been here, and he's been here guiding the station for 44 years. I
That's
mean,
incredible.
It is an incredible amount of time for anybody anywhere. But in broadcasting, a lot of times careers can switch and, things can change in the blink of an eye and in an instant. And for Chuck to be here for that amount of time is absolutely incredible. But it also signifies and underscores the commitment to the area and the valley, to the people that are here. And we've seen this time and time again with residents that have come out and helped and been a part of things, listeners that have been at different events. Christmas is for Kids is another huge example. And in this day and age, for these events to be around and to be as successful as they are, which they are, is once again testament to both bringing everyone together and also having the opportunity to go and be a part of the community. And this radio station has been the voice for many, many years of this community and will continue to be. Chuck honestly could have sold the station to a lot of different people. He wanted it to be local. He wanted it to continue with the legacy that he had started. And that was very, very important to him, to be able to continue with, the lights on and somebody in the studio here serving the valley locally. And, that is one of the legacies that Chuck, will leave going forward as you look down through. I've always equated these things to throwing a stone into the middle of a pond and having the ripples go out. And as they go out farther and farther, in this case, they affect more and more people. And Chuck has been able to do that over the years by being a huge part and a huge, voice for the community organizations as well. But also being here to be able to guide, through his church and through all the other activities that he has been involved with sports and everything else. Again, it's a legacy, and that's whatever way you want to look at it. It's huge. It's just rolling up your sleeves and being a part of things and being there when you're needed, being able to reach out and be able to do these things. And I was absolutely in shock last night when I got the call from you, hearing this, because this is a figure that quite honestly is larger than life and somebody that, it was the remotest thought to my mind to receive that phone call last night. And,
this is like the furthest thing any one of us could have thought. Like, okay, Chuck's like, I'm retired. I sold the stations. You guys are going to run the show. And we're like, okay, this is great. Thank you. And, we worked together on a solution to buy and sell the radio station. And it's almost more of a partnership over the next 8 years. And, it was like, I may be retired and you may be the new guys, but anything you need, give us a call and, shoot me a text, send me an email, anything you need. I'll be there for you to help you out with whatever it is. And it was like, okay, great. Felt like a wonderful safety net. And, here's a good thing we're doing for him. He can retire now and not have to worry about his bills and just enjoy time with Michelle and the kids and the grandkids. And we thought we had it all figured out. We thought we had it all planned out for what would be for the next 10 plus years, and we kind of had in our minds how it would all go. But you never know, I guess, is the thing, and that's the deal. So it's 6:25. It's Wednesday morning, June 2nd, and we are here in the studio. We are live and local. It is the Choice 102 morning show. Matt Lewis has been the host of the show since November, December.
Yeah, November.
Somewhere around there.
Yep.
I don't remember when.
Just before Thanksgiving and Christmas is for Kids being
right.
The first bigger event. We put it on about a week or two before that.
If you're tuning in to the radio station for the first time today, you're learning of the former station owner Chuck Carver's passing. If you're tuning into the radio station for the first time in months or years, you're learning the same thing. And you may be learning also for the first time that there's different people in the studio. So I really don't want to make a big deal out of that at all. I really just want to kind of open the floor up to talk about Chuck. Our doors open this morning. Our phone lines are open, 570-888-7745, 570-888-7745. If you have any Chuck stories, we'd love for you to call and share them with us this morning. And we're sorry to have to be the bearers of bad news. We will be back in a few minutes to talk some more, but it's 6:27. We're going to do a couple things here and regroup. And this is WAVR, WATS, Choice 102.